Interesting board. Again, just to show you guys, this closes, so this folds open, and then you can just, and it kind of locks this whole case up. I've been really into this vibe of just trying new keyboards, and I've been liking silly designs. I've been liking stuff that pushes the envelope, and it doesn't always have to be in a serious way. As you can probably tell, I'm leading up to tell you guys something. This is going to be the ISO 67 by EA Zissou Studios. It's going to be not posted. It's going to be listed by Click Clack. I don't really have a great way to explain what this board is. I have to show you guys. I really do have to show you guys. It's not upside down. This is the keyboard, as you guys can see. I like this. I don't have a price point, by the way, guys. There's not a lot of information. None of this stuff's been posted yet. But the keyboard basically has a built-in dust cover and wrist rest. How cool is that? It's so cool. And then it just folds back in. So when you're done, you can just put it back together. Yeah, this is such a neat idea. I really like it. We have to get rid of some plastic here, but it is so cool. And when I saw this, I was just laughing. Like, seeing this in person, honestly, definitely made me feel differently about the board, because on paper, it kind of seems silly. But you know what? I was thinking about this practically, and I'm like, yeah, this would be really great for people who just kind of need to have something in which they can fold up and then just put in a carrying case, or maybe they're done at their desk and they just need to put it back together here. Cool. I gotta say, it's very cool. But what an interesting vibe, huh? It's physically hooked here on the bottom, which we'll kind of show off. It's gonna be weird kind of showing you guys the side profile of this and whatnot, but I'll do my best. But it uses this just like a little, hinge system here at the bottom, and you guys can kind of see. It's interesting though. It's a pretty basic side profile. Other than that, like the actual keyboard design, if you're just gonna ignore this flipping part, it's cool. Like, it's a basic design. It's pretty simple. You have this, who knows what is written over here. I couldn't tell you. I believe this is the studio, and then I don't know what Audia means, but the first part looks like the studio. But it looks like the most part of this, it looks like it's going to be aluminum. Perfect take me to work board. I think this would be a great desk office board too. I think this is where this is really going to excel. If you happen to just leave your board in the office and you're done with it for the day, you just literally do this and then walk away from your desk. So I do think that's kind of cool. Now, there's going to be a few options for this board that we didn't get. Unfortunately, I didn't get a standard PCB. We got the flex cut version. I'm not too pressed about that, because I think this board is kind of going to fit a different demographic here, but they will have it. I just don't have it today. It's not very heavy. It's pretty light, I'd say. Maybe 3 pounds at most. Pretty interesting. And then we have, I'll show you guys the rest of the parts here. Again, I don't have any info on pricing, so we'll just kind of have to wing it. I like this. This is cool. They did seem to have some other designs on the website as well. I don't know if this is just an all aluminum version that they have, but it seemed like they had some other cool, if you go to the IC, they had some other cool things going on there. Some other stuff from the designers as well. They have Hall Effect power management. We integrated a Hall Effect sensor to automate power control. Not exactly sure if that's on this particular PCB. I really couldn't tell you. I don't know if that's going to be like a separate PCB. Magnetic top case. So again, it should be magnetic. It doesn't seem like it's super strong. But I also don't know how early of a prototype this is. It does look like it has pogo pins. It doesn't seem like this is a super solid piece, so there's some bounce there, which is good. This is the PCB here. Obviously put some foam in here. It does look like there is some sort of switch here for, I don't know what. I'm gonna be honest, this prototype looks a little bit rough. Looks like there's some like solder that happened there. I think this was sent out as a prototype, so I don't think this is a, I wouldn't say this is super production friendly here. Does a per key RGB, which is nice. And it is hot swap using JWIC hot swap sockets. And then here's the plate. So the plate has a little bit of relief cuts in there too. Honestly, not super bad. I don't know if there's going to be more options for plates. I hope there is. One of my biggest pet peeves is seeing companies only ever offer an FR4 plate. I also hope these cutouts are okay as well. You know what I'm seeing too on this? Which, you know what, guys? I might not even be able to build some of this today. Or I might have to steal some stabilizers off of something different. I just realized this. There is no PCB mounted stab cutouts here, which is kind of stupid. I may have to steal it from a different keyboard at this point, because I don't think I have any spares. Yeah, I don't know if this is plate mounted only. maybe an error? I don't know. I don't know if this should be an error, but these do look too tight for regular stabs. This does look like plate cutout only. Not that there's anything wrong with plate mounted stabs. In fact, plate mounted stabs can be lovely, but they're, you know, they're not what everyone has all the time, and some people prefer PCB mounted stabs. So maybe this is a very early prototype plate in PCB. I'm hoping. But how do we open this thing up is the real question here. Is this just catchball system? Oh, it's a magnet. Oh, interesting. That's what they meant by magnetic top. Interesting. And then the PCB would just slot into that. Okay, with the gaskets here. Okay. Little receiver here. I guess this is gonna be wireless too because there's batteries in the bottom. And they did offer a tool. This is what I saw some people use in the other videos. This tool pulls out the pins, which right here, you can see it pulls out the pins for this. I don't know if you guys can see, but you can pull out the pins basically with this magnet and disassemble the wrist rest if you want. Interesting. All right, I guess let's figure out our stab situation here. Actually, you know what? That's kind of nice. That's kind of seamless feeling. I like that. That's a nice little magnetic top piece. I do like that a lot. So some things I'd recommend for the designers here to start working on a little bit. I don't mean to like over explain my thought process here, but I think even for the designers, I think it would be really, really, really good to have some sort of lock mechanism for this. So when it closes, maybe there's a strong magnet that just locks it in place so it doesn't flip-flop when you go to pick it up and whatnot. Obviously, once this is fully assembled, I don't expect people to, you know, use this much for that sense, but just in case people do. But some sort of extra security there would have been nice. All right, let's figure out our gasket situation with this. I'm not sure what this is supposed to be for. These random larger silicone ones, but let's put these on. These just slip onto the ends here. They're just little sleeves. So far, I want to criticize a few things about this board. PCB will just stay in tandem with the plate, so I don't have to go overboard on this. It feels lazy, I'll be real with you. The PCB feels a bit lazy. This might be your cup of tea if you just want a simple PCB, and let's just say you love this design of the keyboard having a built-in wrist rest in the cover and you just don't care about the PCB, then I'd say, yeah, so far this project is probably great for you. But in my perspective, like, it doesn't really cost much to give us some options here. Yes, you would have to rework the design for the PCB, but I feel like it's better for your product. In terms of the other issue when it comes to like layouts and stuff is I don't get why they don't want to offer PCB mounted stabs. I do wish and hope that there's going to be some options when it comes to plates. I think I'm pretty positive because this was on a sheet that I was given. It seems like there was going to be an option for a standard PCB, which I hope there is. If not, then that would suck too. Not as many options for this board. And I feel like, you know, maybe this is my own bias speaking, but I feel like if you're gonna make a keyboard for a custom keyboard hobby, it's good to give us some ways to customize it. You know what I mean? So this should just nicely sit in here. I do like this though. This is pretty seamless feeling. I almost didn't even see this was part of the case. So does it clear now? Can we put the cover? Yes, this goes seamlessly with that. Love to see that. That is awesome. Now we can figure out some keycaps. I'll give them credit. I like the way this looks. This is a pretty sharp looking, simple keyboard case. I would love to know the cost of this though. All right, let's put some of these things on, shall we? This is a nice set. I like this. The designer of this did a really good job. Yeah, it kind of does have a bit of a protagonist feel with this kind of like frame that's going on here at the top. This is a very pretty set. Honestly, I don't know if this is still in stock. I hope it is, but I really like this. They did an excellent job on this. All right, let's see what this sounds like. Again, we don't really have a whole lot of information on this board other than Click Clack will be vendoring it. I like Click Clack as a vendor. Interesting board. Again, just to show you guys, this closes, so this folds open and then you can just, and it kind of locks this whole case up, which is cool. It does look like the cherry keycaps fit perfectly with this. So if you guys want to see what the side profile of this looks like, if you were to go any taller, obviously it would force this open more, but it acts as a keyboard cover and then you can just flip it open to make a wrist rest, which I thought was really, really neat. I love the idea. But all right, let's see what this sounds like. This is fully foamed up, except for the bottom foam. We're using the NK Classic switches, so the new ones, and then a FR4 plate. Yeah, it's very subdued. The sound profile is very subdued. Honestly, it's not what I expected it was going to be. I thought it would be a little bit more in my face, kind of foamy. I do like the sound of this. It's not quite what I normally would use. Like, it's not my usual, like, louder, clackier keyboard, but it is nice. I was a bit worried that the mounting tabs, like that really big mounting tab, would make this spacebar feel a bit stiff, and it definitely does make it feel a little bit stiff. But it's still good enough that it can bounce a little bit on those silicone tabs. I think this sounds good. There are still some problems I have with the board. For number one, like just again to reiterate, they could have done more with the PCB and plate. They could have offered more options. Hell, even if they didn't want to change the layout at all, it would have been nice to see PCB mounted stabilizers. I don't see that in the realm of impossible for this. I don't know why that wasn't even just an option for this board to have. I would have liked to see some more thoughtful mounting options for this. Like, I know this is also a how you do it type thing, but again, normally, this isn't really like it's a secret or anything, but there are good ways to have mounting things or mounting points, and there are good ways to kind of utilize mounting tabs. I do think this was a bit more of like your stock standard. It has 6 mounting points and they're equal on the top and bottom. Typically, I like when designers go a little bit more in depth and will figure out some of the more hot spots, because it still is a little bit stiff on the spacebar, which ultimately I've found personally can make it a bit more fatiguing to type on. The other thing I really like about the board is I like this whole tray system. This is really nice. This is super, super awesome. Some people I just noticed said they don't like that little gap on the side. I don't think it really bugs me none. I mean, for me, the main thing here is it's gonna stop dust from settling on the top of the keyboard. I think this would excel. Like, I think this would be perfect in an office. I think this is great. Like this, you know, when you're done with your keyboard at the end of the day, you just flip it up and then you just walk off. I think that's cool. If you're not into having a wrist rest, you can use the little tool here, and that should be able to pull out these little tabs. So let's just try to do this now, I guess. And then you can separate the whole keyboard, which is cool. So you don't have to use that. I thought that was really, really nice. But yeah, they are magnetic tabs, and then they kind of just lock into place afterwards. I wonder too if these can be knocked out, but I don't foresee people being super aggressive with this. It really would need like a little, you know, travel workup to see how good this would be in like a travel situation. I do think there was room for some stuff here though, right? Like, I really think if the designers had also added some sort of like clasp mechanism for the top here, and maybe if they didn't even really have to do this, but if it was a bit more flushed out on the side, if they added a clasp and a handle on this, this could have been the coolest little take to work keyboard. You know, if you just needed to have something and protect the keycaps, that would have been so cool. I also think there might have been some room for some other stuff here too. Let me explain. I think there could have been some room for some maybe different materials being used, or just different colors on certain areas here. And then the last thing was I would have liked a better way to secure this instead of having it flop around as you try to move around the board and whatnot. I think maybe an additional magnet here to kind of have it like lock into place. But I mean, it is what it is too. The weakest part of it, I think, though, is the PCB and plate. I do feel like more options are never a bad thing. Add more options. The only ask I can ever really have of any designer really is, you have a really cool product right now. I really like this. This is so unique. Seems pretty easy to disassemble as well. Why not just add simple thing, which is just adding more options. Adding more options is never a bad thing. Well, interesting. I like this sound profile. I do think this is nice. The top is magnetic, Alex, so it's just magnetic in there. Although, again, I was fiddling with this before stream and I didn't even realize it was magnetic. It's locked in pretty good. I like the sound profile. It's nice. It's a little bit different from what I'm used to. I don't think this would sound good with no foam. It's a flex cut plate, so it'll be kind of hollow. So I do think the foam, at least in between the plate and PCB, is necessary. Nice though, it's a cool project. I would like to see what other colorways they're thinking too, other than the silver and the black I saw on the website. They seem like they had some like cool designs for the wrist rest, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye everybody.